Regardless of your clinical trial design, whether it is site-based, virtual, or a hybrid of the two, you are likely to have a lot of valuable patient data buried in your EHR. You could pull that data into a study manually, but that is incredibly labor-intensive and risky. You can introduce error. But maybe there's another way. I'm Allison Proffitt, the editor of Clinical Research News, and today I'm speaking with Cal Collins, co-founder and CEO of Open Clinica, about a solution he thinks will make a huge difference. Welcome, Cal.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, set up the problem for me. We've got so much patient data in silos. How can clinical trial sites and study teams get a big picture view of their participants?
Yeah, sure. Clinical trial data is super important to achieving the scientific aims and the objectives of any research study. It's what drives it, and it's historically been an incredibly manual process to collate, collect, and abstract this data from multiple places in the healthcare environment. And now today, with new tools, new capabilities to connect to the source of the data, there's a real opportunity to streamline that process, reach higher levels of quality, and get new types of data that maybe weren't practical to get before that can open up new science. So at Open Clinica, we've been providing the foundational user-friendly electronic data capture tool set that supported thousands of studies over more than a decade. And what we're doing now is enabling new ways of getting data, particularly from existing electronic health records. These contain the patient data that's captured in the routine course of providing healthcare for patients that are enrolled in trials, as well as those that aren't. And it's incredibly inefficient to transcribe and abstract that data manually from the electronic health record into electronic case report forms for research.
Mm-hmm.
The data more and more exists in electronic structured format, and we're able now to integrate it operationally, automatically acquire that data in a validated manner, so that we can get the data much more efficiently, save labor, save time, and ensure that it's at a much higher level of quality. So that's why we created Open Clinica Unite to help research teams and the sites that participate in research get a 360-degree view of their patient with much more ease and efficiency. Many cases you can get the data 5 to 15 times faster than with traditional methods. Do it with much higher level of quality and the ability to reduce clinical monitoring and checking and review of the data. With Open Clinica Unite, you can pull the EHR data with one click into your study database. It's a very simple process.
Yeah, I think that healthcare workers need something simple right about now. The pandemic has been super hard on healthcare workers. I don't think clinical research staff was immune. But is a tool the answer? Is a simple sounds good, but is a better tool really going to improve their jobs and their life at work?
Yeah, we often talk in the industry about the swivel chair model for data entry. You've got primarily research coordinators and sometimes the investigators that are involved in research. Looking at two screens, or on one screen they've got their medical record system, and on the other they've got the research database, and they're logged into two different systems. You have to remember two URLs, two patient IDs, and swivel back and forth and feed data from one to another. So as you can imagine, it's a inefficient process. It's error prone, and it's probably not the type of work that any of these individuals would prefer to be doing, or their highest and best use. So
Right.
what we can enable now is the ability with one click to launch that participant's electronic case report form right out of their patient chart in the EHR. A single sign-on, so they don't have to log into a separate system, brings them right to the target record in the research system, and then we can pull over and pre-populate case report forms with with data from the EHR. So that's an incredibly powerful, really game-changing improvement to the model of how we do research. And when you combine that as well with the ability to integrate the patient experience and get more data directly from patients at the same time in your research designs, it really opens up a whole host of possibilities.
Yeah, that does sound like a real valuable improvement. So you mentioned that two screens, two logins, and this Unite product is going to give a single login. Um, that interoperability is something that, gosh, we've been talking about as long as I've been covering the space. It is tough. Um, so how much IT effort does this take to go from two screens to one system?
Yeah, that's so true, Allison. I mean, I've been in this industry for over 15 years, and when I started, people were talking about this. They were doing pilot projects, some of which, actually worked, and showed that this would provide a lot of value. But the problem was that it wasn't feasible to do it in a replicable, scalable way, and yeah, we've taken advantages of the evolution of the industry and the technical capabilities, particularly on the health IT side of things, to develop a technology model that is really as easy as it can be for sites to adopt, for sponsors to use in multi-site trials in a replicable, repeatable way, with all the configurability they need to use in different trial designs. The key is, at the site, there's no software to install, no servers to run locally, and we use a set of open standards and security protocols that have been well embraced and recognized in healthcare IT. So there's a level of confidence in the way that the integration happens that sites can embrace, that works great for sponsors.
So we just talked about that easing the workload for the clinical staff, and this definitely sounds like it will help. Sites have, I guess, borne the brunt of the heavy lifting recently, and this sounds like you're focusing on a site friendly, a site light option. But how much training and new platform knowledge will it take to get to that point where they're really realizing the benefits that you've worked to put in there?
Yeah, we've taken a user-focused effort at every stage in this process in designing and deploying our EHR integration solution to really simplify at every level the experience for research coordinators, for investigators, and other clinicians involved in research. So there's really less training than you would require for accessing the EVC in the more traditional standalone manner, and the rest of the user experience is almost identical to how you do it in that manner. Our team works incredibly closely throughout the implementation process with our partners at the sites and sponsors, to make sure that um, all the requirements for security and data privacy and so forth are met, and we've really been able to streamline that implementation process, to make it quite efficient, something that we can do in a couple of weeks at each site. And then once we deploy to users, we've also engaged with them, depending on the context of the particular healthcare environment they're working in. We can work with our sites to configure where to launch the solution from, and make sure that works well in the context of their workflow. So the design is to help them do the things they do today, but in a much more automated and intuitive manner.
So does every site need to be on this platform for the study, or is there flexibility in that?
Yeah, that's a great question. No. So um, we recognize in this, this new world where we're moving to decentralized and hybrid
Mm-hmm.
trials and greater levels of integration. There'll be different rates of technological adoption and capability. We're able to support multiple of the major EHR vendors and do integrations with those, and we're continuing to expand that capability. And for sites that aren't ready for that, we're able to support hybrid trial structures where some sites may be pulling in this EHR data and launching the user experience in an integrated, automated way, and others that are in the same study using and more traditional methods that rely more heavily on manual data entry or perhaps bulk data import.
Okay, so decentralized trials is the buzzword of the day. How how is this going to help, or how can this be used in those situations where sponsors are trying some sort of diversity of sites or diversity of trial design to reach maybe a more diverse geographic audience, or just introduce more diversity in their patient population in general?
Yeah, I think it has the promise to really reduce the infrastructure needed and the overhead required at sites to recruit patients into research and to participate in research. So that alone, I think, offers the promise of really expanding the segments of the population and of society that can participate in research geographically, from the perspective of what institutions can be involved, and and that really holds the promise of being able to reach much more diverse and representative and inclusive um, uh, segments of the population. May really make research closer to the real world, and that's a huge goal for us and our team. Something that everyone on the team is passionate about and committed to. I'd also add that you mentioned decentralized trials, and that's certainly, as you said, the buzzword of the day. The way we've looked at that from the start is that every trial ultimately will be partially in some form a DCT, and almost no trials will be 100% decentralized in every component. So we look at it from on a spectrum of, how do we hybridize what's good and what's really foundational in research, and the way we've done it over the past decade or more with things we can do better, either to do it more efficiently, save costs, do it faster,
Mm-hmm.
reach more patients, get better data. I think there are a couple key points I would make on that. One is you still need that really robust underlying infrastructure to have an integrated operation. Trials are getting more complex, not less, and the tooling, the workflow, the flexibility for robust data designs you get in our electronic data capture platform, really provide a solid foundation to do all the things that on top of that really can achieve the promise of decentralized trials. When we can design that study protocol in one place with all the rules and the workflows and the data designs and the controlled vocabularies and mappings and what have you, and push those all out from one system into different modalities, whether that's automatically acquiring the medical records, surfacing the case report forms
Mm-hmm.
right in the end user's experience, or also doing things with patients, whether capturing patient reported outcomes electronically, um, having them share their own health records in a decentralized manner,
Mm-hmm.
which is something we're working on as well. Really, you get this way of not just capturing better, more diverse sources of data, but also you're integrating it operationally so you can use it in real time. It's not just getting bucketed into a data warehouse or into different silos. You have one highly orchestrated system for real-time decisions reduce duplication of effort, and perhaps most importantly, when things change, you change them in one place. There's a protocol amendment, or you find something's not working, you change it in one place, hit
Right.
publish, and it's deployed across all those different systems in a validated way.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly useful, and I completely agree with your vision of this decentralized trials will not be one thing. It's going to be a lot of things, and so we need to be able to have tools that are flexible enough to be used across different formats. So,
So I talked a little bit about real-time decision making, and when you're able to use data from across different streams in that real time in an integrated data model, that becomes a really powerful thing. Study teams can use our configurable dashboard and data visualization tools from OpenClinica Insight to help do that across a study level, or to look at a site or a set of sites and see how they're doing. But also in this new world of decentralized trials and focus on the user, we also want to be able to push information back to the different stakeholders in clinical trials as much as possible. And that tool set we have allows creating dashboards for patients where they can see their progress, or in some study designs, perhaps compare how they're doing to others in the population. Same thing with the end users on the clinical side. They can, through Unite, launch the ECRF from right within the patient chart, but we can also configure it to deliver useful data visualizations, graphing of lab values over time, for instance, or summarizing AEs that have been reported right in that view. So that bringing that data full circle in a systematic manner is really important to what we're trying to do, and something our tools enable.
Cal, thank you for your time. It sounds like you have really put a lot of thought into developing something that's going to make the clinical research workers' life better, and also really improve the trials that we're able to do and the data we're able to deliver in the industry, which is what we're all hoping for. So tell us how we can find you and how we can find the Open Clinica team.
Yeah, sure. Our website is openclinica.com. We're easy to reach. We're highly accessible. We currently support uh, research studies of all types and phases around the world. That includes interventional clinical trials in biopharma, med device, as well as registries and academic studies too. So we're easy to reach. Go to openclinica.com. And you can reach us there. We've got a presence on LinkedIn as well. That's how you can find us. And this is complex. It's not easy, but we're fortunate to have a really fantastic team, as well as great partners and customers who we work really closely with to help solve these very difficult problems. And we think we're well on the way, and that's due to a lot of hard work from a lot of great people. So I feel privileged to work with the team that we have and the partners that we have, and we're excited about the future.
Great. All right. Thank you so much for joining us.